Who is the stronger boss in Fortnite? Is it Godzilla or is it Doom? Now, as you guys probably know already, we are able to turn into Godzilla in Fortnite now, and to be honest, it's the most fun that I've probably had this entire season. It's literally, how could you not have fun turning into a giant Godzilla in the Fortnite map and just destroying everybody in your path? But before this even came out, and especially now that I was able to have some experience with it, it made me think back to just a few months ago when Doom's powers were on the island as well. Now, naturally, a lot of people, including myself, were itching to see how Godzilla and Doom's strength would compare, so let's first start off with Godzilla's powers. Now, his powers themselves, he has the Scream, which is absolutely awesome, makes finding players very, very easy, and automatically sets him way apart from Dr. Doom, and I feel like this could actually be the one thing that makes him so much better than Doom. Now, next up, he also has a Stomp ability, which literally decimates whatever area you're standing above. If you're standing above, like, maybe a small shack or a house or something, and you stomp while you're near it, it's going to destroy the entire thing, revealing anybody that is hiding in there. So it's nearly impossible to hide from Godzilla, especially when he screams and is able to find your exact location. Of course, he has the very iconic laser beam that, Godzilla has in the movies and things like that, and it also destroys everything very easily, but it is a bit hard to control and move around with, and that is something that will be a con for Godzilla throughout this entire video, as you will see later on. One thing that's really interesting about all of these powers, though, is that there's no cooldown on any of them, and I don't believe there was a cooldown with Dr. Doom's either. So I want to preface in saying that all of this, no matter what my opinion finally is, it is ultimately just my opinion. If you guys think Doom or Godzilla is stronger, that's your opinion, but I'm just going based off of what I've experienced with both of these power-ups. Now, this is the one biggest con about Godzilla's, his boss, is his movement and how he is so slow and sometimes very difficult to control. Like, when I first spawned in with Godzilla, as you'll see in the background here, for some reason it was really, really hard for me to move him around, and he just wasn't moving exactly where I wanted him to. He started like walking to the side for no reason, and it took me a second to actually get him to turn around and face towards Seaport City, which is where I was facing when I first spawned in with him, which is really interesting. I'm not sure if it was a bug or something, but overall he is a bit difficult to control at times, and he's very, very slow, of course, because he is so ginormous. But to make up for this, and a pro of him being so big, is that there's literally no place that he is limited on the map. He has the ability to literally destroy anything on the entire map, even if there are sometimes, like peaks and, he has to step up a little bit. He's able to do that. So there's literally nowhere on the map that you can't get Godzilla to go pretty easily. It'll just may take you a while to get there. So he's very easy to move around with to a certain point. Like, obviously it's going to take a while, but overall the controls are pretty easy with him. Now, overall, I think Godzilla is a lot of fun to use, and me personally, I think playing as Godzilla in Fortnite is much cooler and will be a lot cooler to a lot of people in comparison to Doom. I feel like more people are going to know more about Godzilla than they would Dr. Doom. That may be a hot take, but that's how it is for me at least. But overall, I think Godzilla is very, very fun to use while being extremely strong. Just about the only downside is his size, which makes everything he does much slower than Doom, of course. But then his beam, coupled with, the Scream and everything that allows you to see where people are, you can do a ton of damage very, very fast with his abilities. But let's go ahead and move on to Doom. Now, I do believe Doom has a few more powers than Godzilla, so this section is going to take a little bit longer than Godzilla's, but obviously he has his main attack, which I'm not exactly sure what these are called. I'm just going to call them like balls of energy, I guess, and he shoots these out of his hands just like the Gauntlet Mythic that was in the game at the time. Now, these are okay, and they do about 25 damage a hit, but they have a huge drop off, which limits the range of how far you can actually shoot them, which is actually a pretty big con with Doom. Now, when you're in the air, another thing that he had that I really, really liked was you could like fall down feet forward, and it kind of had a similar effect to Godzilla's Stomp, but on a little bit of a lesser scale. It was kind of like a ripple effect. Wherever you hit down, it was kind of like a mini explosion. I really liked that. It was cool and powerful, and it would actually launch enemies depending on how close you were to them when you hit them with it, which was really, really cool as well, especially if you wanted to like get somebody out of the way or something like that if they were about to kill you. Now, he also had a giant energy ball that had to be charged up and thrown, and this was also, I believe, a part of his gauntlet that you could use as well in game already. It was just built in with his actual like character and boss. I really liked this also, and it also had a bit of a blast effect, which was super cool, did a lot of damage as well, and it was absolutely amazing for destroying builds. You'll see in the background gameplay here, you may see it, where I actually throw this and it destroys someone's entire box while doing damage to them. So it was a great, great move. And then also finally, he had a beam that was similar to Godzilla's, but I believe this one had a bit lesser range. This is one thing about Godzilla that I really like, is that his range is so big, especially with this beam. You're able to like shoot from very, very far distances, and even though you're not able to move it around that fast, you're gonna hit whatever target you're looking at from a pretty far distance. Now moving on to Doom's movement, I loved Doom's movement so much. It was very easy to navigate around with him, especially with his high jump and floating ability. You could get anywhere you wanted relatively easy. You were also bigger. I believe you may have been slightly a bit faster. I'm not sure if that was just me, but I felt like I was faster when I would sprint or just move around in general with Doom's powers. But overall, his movement, I think it's very clear that Doom has much better movement than Godzilla, which obviously makes sense. But one downside to Doom in comparison to Godzilla is the health. Now, I believe Doom only had around 1000 HP, and I think it's safe to say that Godzilla has much more than that. And even though Godzilla's health like depletes over time, it's still not even close in terms of the amount of damage that Godzilla can take in comparison to Doom. Godzilla can be shot a lot, and especially since you're going to be like a bigger character, you're going to be targeted by everybody in the map, which makes sense, but it does take quite a lot to actually get Godzilla down, even when he is, you know, his like health is depleting as you are active with him. So overall, having played as both Doom and Godzilla, I think Godzilla is clearly the stronger boss, and even though Godzilla has less attacks than Doom and moves slower overall, the sheer damage Godzilla can do within the time allotted is nothing in comparison to what you could do with Doom back in chapter 5. Given the same amount of time, since we're going based on strength here and not necessarily, you know, how good each one is, if you were to give both of these bosses they're the same amount of time, I believe it's no question that Godzilla would do significantly more damage to players and structures on the map in general than Doom, and I don't really think that's a controversial topic. I think if I had to pick one, ultimately I'd definitely pick Godzilla, especially with how literally just walking anywhere destroys everything in your path, and you're just like this Goliath. Everybody knows you're coming. It kind of feels more like Thanos. I remember everybody knew, like, you were just so much bigger than everybody else. It's not really on the same scale as Doom in my opinion, but of course, like I said, this is just my opinion, guys, so let me know who you think is stronger down below in the comments. Is it Godzilla or Doom? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Drop a like on today's video. You watched all the way to the end of this 7 to 8 minute video. You must have liked the video, so drop a like, subscribe to the channel, use code PROZEROYT to help support me in the item shop, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.